Welcome to Vertical File. I'm your host, John Connolly. Today I'm joined by Megan Johnston, the lead consultant at Analyte Projects Limited. She has extensive experience as a PMO manager and project manager. Megan writes a regular newsletter called The Generalist PM on Substack and is an active contributor on LinkedIn and with the Project Management Institute. Megan's passion is helping businesses connect strategy and execution. On today's preview episode, we're talking about promoting learning across an organization. Tune in for our full conversation next week, wherever you find your podcasts.
Promoting learning across an organization simply involves cultivating a growth mindset in staff. And then you need to create opportunities for the staff to chase their growth areas. And growth areas are probably identified one of two ways. They might be self-identified by the staff member, or they might be part of a performance management strategy for the staff member. That could be a positive performance management strategy, like they're getting, groomed for promotion or succession, or it could be a negative one where we have actual skill gaps, but we're conscious of them and working to develop them. So that's what I think when we say promoting learning across an organization. I think project learning is a very specific organizational learning approach. And this is deeply connected to a mindset of continuous improvement, not just a growth mindset. So essentially, project learning looks backwards at the end of a project to reflect on things that went well and things that need improvement. And this is done with a deliberate intent to incorporate opportunities for improvement into the next projects. And in this way, the organization is always learning and improving its project practices. I do think that PMOs facilitate both kinds of learning. Like I said earlier, PMOs have a role to play in coaching project management staff within the organization. So absolutely, they're involved in that promoting learning generally and that growth mindset within staff that they coach or administer. But also the PMO facilitates this really important kind of project-based learning through this practice of project retrospectives. And they do this through a few different types of activities. So they would hopefully provide a template and a procedure for carrying out a project retrospective so that we have a consistent practice of this throughout the organization, wherever the projects may be happening. They're going to be actioning improvements to facilitate organizational learning and continuous improvement. So they're going to be in charge of owning those things that come up through that strategy. And then I think there is a job associated with keeping records with these lessons learned. So they should be documenting them and also documenting what's been acted upon. And this would be similar to businesses that track their approach to risk management. So like ISO accredited businesses have obligations to track risks and corrective actions that are taken. Think of lessons learned as potentially a model that's like that, but just with less, sort of severity.
Sometimes there are things that there aren't universal, specific, good frameworks for how to get a specific thing done. And I think lessons learned falls into that category. Something that you and I have spoken about offline here is chartering, right? Like there's not a lot of guidance as to how to get that done. PMI says you should be getting it done, but beyond that, you're kind of on your own. So what can we do as professionals to change that? A lot of times, that coaching, that guidance, PMO, what's out there in the realm of the PMO and just for project managers in general, people interested in that line of thinking to help them get these things done and get them done successfully?
Yeah. So, this is a huge area and it's a huge challenge, especially for younger project managers, because you come in with this expectation from your employer that you need to accomplish these things. They might have read about them, but honestly, you really have not much direction, which is interesting for a profession that has so many things that are quite prescriptive within it, at least certainly in the past practice. My role as I've, become more senior in my career has always been focused on helping project managers to come up with these skills. And that made me, I guess, a bit of a systems thinker, which probably contributed to my leadership in PMOs. And throughout all the organizations that I've worked for, I've looked for opportunities to design frameworks for this. So I have a framework that I use for project charting that I teach every organization, and I teach every project manager that works under me as a way of helping, with this problem for project charting. I've seen teams do, just kind of regular documentation. I've seen teams do it more like, Scrum, where they create, sort of some minutes from the project retrospective, and then they just kind of try to have those in a central place for the team. My real thing is that doesn't operationalize the lessons learned very well. And so I think if you're structuring a PMO particularly, this should be the key thing that you're focused on, is how can you operationalize, how can you act on those opportunities for continuous improvement and view them as an opportunity.
This has been Vertical File by Soutron Global. If you enjoyed this show, please rate us 5 stars wherever you find your podcasts. Check us out online at www.soutron.com.